Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So, as you know, if you're going on this journey with me, we're doing the Artist's Way. We're on week 2. Week 2 is titled Recovering a Sense of Identity. So during week 1, I was really struggling to move on to week 2 because I felt like I hadn't done week 1 good enough yet. After I started reading week 2, I said this is what I needed. This is what I was looking for. But now here I am a week and a half into week 2 and struggling to move on to week 3. So we haven't learned our lesson quite yet, but we're working on it. Yes, we are. This week talked a lot about relationships. And there is something that is mentioned at the beginning of the book that I want to read because it really resonated with what I experienced this week. So it says, as we open our creative channel to the Creator, many gentle but powerful changes are to be expected. And another thing, we change and the universe furthers and expands that change. So basically, this week talks a lot about relationships. And there were some relationships in my life that deep down I knew like weren't good for me. I was like, okay, I really need to move on from these relationships, but there's something keeping me in them. And basically during this week, a bunch of stuff happened that basically, I mean, I have no choice but to move on now. Like these people, like things happen and it's like, wow, these people really, really are not for me. And it came at the week where we're talking about relationships and how important it is to protect yourself. Oh, kitty. So there's a lot in week 2 that I want to read because there's a lot in here that's really, really good. It talks a lot about relationships, which are really important in this journey. It specifically mentions how important it is to protect yourself and your creative journey. So comments, I'm gonna turn comments off per the book guidelines. Not that anyone's commenting, not that anyone's watching, but yes, it's important. It kind of has you go through your life and identify who is a safe space and who's not. You know, when you're trying to bring out this part of yourself that is creative and vulnerable, it can be very easily pushed back into a box if someone says something that's not very supportive. So it's really important during this journey to protect yourself and not share it with everybody. Only share it with certain people. I say this as I'm posting it on email. So one thing that I really resonated with was something they said right away in chapter 2. She said, we may feel and look erratic. This erraticism is a normal part of getting unstuck, pulling free from the muck that has blocked us. It is important to remember that at first flush, going sane feels like going crazy. Not just in this journey, but other journeys in my life, I have felt like I'm going crazy. Sometimes I can't tell if I'm going crazy or if I'm actually just waking up to a lot of things. But then throughout my journey, you know, you learn more and more that it's not you going crazy, it's like you gaining awareness. And then it says we can deal with these stronger attacks. So it's saying as you go through this process, you're going to, you'll gain strength and the attacks of self doubt will come in stronger as well. It says that this is normal and we can deal with these stronger attacks when we see them as symptoms of recovery. That I think is something that's going to be really important for me to remember. It talks a lot about affirmations. It talked a lot about them in week 1 and also again in week 2. I haven't gotten into them a lot, really at any point in my life, but I really need to commit and try them out. So I did write down the affirmations from the book and put them up on my wall so I can just remember to say them every day. The main reason I haven't gotten into them is just because I forget. I forget to say them and do them. But having them on the wall in my bathroom for me to see every single day will help me remember. And it says affirmations are a powerful antidote for self-hate, which commonly appears under the mask of self-doubt. And then early in our creative recovery, Self-doubt can lure us into self-sabotage. Yes. Yes, I feel that. I am feeling that. There's a big section in here that talks about, they call it poisonous playmates. It's basically people who haven't become, who are still, they call them blocked artists. So basically people who haven't gone through the journey of like getting rid of all these defense mechanisms that we formed through childhood, and they're still unable to express themselves. And it talks about how our own recovery will trigger these kinds of people, and it's really important to get rid of those people, or just, not share your journey with them and maybe not spend as much time with them. It says, if they are having trouble with your recovery, they are still getting a payoff from remaining blocked. If they are having trouble with your recovery, they are still getting a payoff from remaining blocked. Yeah. Do not expect your blocked friends to applaud your recovery. Blocked friends may find your recovery disturbing. And be alert to subtle sabotage from friends. You cannot afford their well-meaning doubts right now. Their doubts will reactivate your own. That's going to be really important for me to remember, because it's like, I know from past experiences in myself, if people express doubts about something I'm doing, I do start to question, if I'm like, okay, are they seeing something that I'm not seeing about myself? Why are they saying that to me? I must not be seeing everything clearly. I should maybe put more weight on what they just said, even if that thing is harmful to my recovery or um, progress. And this I liked. You will be led to new sources of support as you begin to support yourself. Oh, this I liked. Often creativity is blocked by our falling in with other people's plans for us. I'm going to read it again. Often creativity is blocked by our falling in with other people's plans for us. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that a lot. I feel like a lot of what I've done so far in my life has been because I feel like I need to live out other people's expectations of me, or they have dreams for me and I need to achieve those dreams for them, even though even if it's not something I am interested in. See, this stuff is good. I need this. I think a lot of us have those people pleasing tendencies, and this is important information. This chapter goes on to talk about other types of people we might encounter in our journey or maybe have in our life currently. Um, it talks about people who kind of cause chaos around us and leave us in a state of self-doubt. And it talks about how important it is to be aware of those people and signs to look out for. And then it also talks about kind of skeptics and the skepticism within ourselves. There's a part in here I really like, and it talks about, so this book talks a lot about how there's a higher power that provides us with this creativity, that we ourselves are creative beings, and it's our responsibility to create. And that we, through this process, we're going to get in touch with that higher creative power, which is also within us. But, so this part in here I really liked. It says, the reason we think it's weird to imagine an unseen helping hand is that we still doubt that it's okay for us to be creative. And that is something I think I've experienced a lot when I've tried to pursue creative things in the past. I don't think it's okay for me to be creative. I feel like a lot of shame and guilt around that, so that's something I'm going to have to address. But I like that it's bringing that up in here and kind of calling it out. There are other parts where it talks about in the skepticism section that I really liked. They're just very relatable. And I think a lot of other people could probably relate to this stuff too. It says, one of the things most worth noting in the creative recovery is our reluctance to take seriously the possibility that the universe just might be cooperating with our new and expanded plans. Yeah. Yeah. Whenever good things have happened in the past, I always kind of make up excuses for it, like, oh, they probably felt bad, or they don't actually mean it, or I don't know, maybe it's someone that knew me from something and yeah, they feel bad. I don't know. It doesn't seem genuine because I feel like, how could it be? I'm not good at whatever. Then it goes on to say, we've gotten brave enough to try recovery, but we don't want the universe to really pay attention. We still feel too much like frauds to handle some success. Yes, I feel that, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. This book also spent a bit of time talking about attention. It says success or failure. Wait. Yeah, okay, here we go. Success or failure, the truth of life really has little to do with its quality. The quality of life is in proportion, always, to the capacity for delight. The capacity for delight is the gift of paying attention. I liked that. I did. And it goes on to say that the reward for attention is always healing. It talks about grief, like a story of grief in here. It's a really beautiful story. Um, and how paying attention kind of helped people move through grief. It says the reward for paying attention is always healing. It may begin as the healing of a particular pain, the lost lover, the sickly child, the shattered dream. But what is healed, finally, is the pain that underlies all pain. The pain that we are all unutterably alone. More than anything else, attention is an act of connection. That's something I need to remember and remind myself of often, because we live in a world where the sense of urgency has a tendency to take over, and then we're not paying attention. I'm not paying attention, and I lose connection to the world around me. Oh, this I really like too. It says, in times of pain, when the future is too terrifying to contemplate and the past is too painful to remember, I have learned to pay attention to right now. The precise moment I was in was always the only safe place for me. Each moment, taken alone, was always bearable. In the exact now, we are all, always, all right. That's right. We are, aren't we? We are all, always, all right. There's a lot of tasks this week that I think are very important. I still have not worked through all of them, but I hope to come back to some at some point. I did get through some of them. The artist states, see, I have not been putting much effort into these, and I really need to do better at that. Moving forward, I'm going to try to put more effort into those artist states. Some notes from this week that I wrote. I think that, in a way, this 12-week program is addressing the perfectionism, because I'm kind of forced to move forward. Being stuck, like now, I feel like I'm stuck in chapter 2. I feel like I can't move on. And it just makes me not feel good. You know, I have to move on to feel better. And it's teaching me to just kind of let go of any perfectionism and move on before maybe I feel ready to, and trust that the process is going to guide me where I need to go. With the morning pages, I've noticed something about the narration. Okay, I don't know if this is the lesson I'm supposed to get out of this yet, and this is what people are talking about when they say the morning pages have completely changed their life, or if this is just something that I should have known before. But basically, I've noticed when I'm doing the morning pages, so initially I was creating a narrative in my head to write down. Like it was like a script that was forming in my head, but I told myself it was just my authentic thoughts. However, As I've been doing them, I kind of realized that's not the case. I'm actually molding and shaping this narrative to be palatable in case this ever got out or something like that. I don't know. Um, so now when I do the morning pages, I'm really trying to focus on listening to those other voices that this other loud, dominating voice kind of speaks over. I'm learning that not only in these morning pages, but in other places of my life and other creative projects I've worked on, I do have those voices that are I don't listen to. And there is that one dominating voice that projects over everything else. I think this voice is trying to protect me from being perceived, from being vulnerable, and maybe the potential hurt that comes with those things. But ultimately, it's leaving me unfulfilled. It's leaving me unhappy, this voice. But yeah, I think this dominating voice protects that perfectionist part of me and those people pleasing parts of me. But ultimately, it leaves me unhappy. So I'm working on listening to those other voices. And in my morning pages, that's a practice for me to write down what they're saying instead of that dominating voice that's trying to fit a narrative. Anyway, where are we at? There was a lot in week 2. I'm going to move on to week 3. It's time to move on. I need to move on. And I will share my thoughts after week 3, hopefully in just 1 week. And thank you, everybody, and goodbye.